Hi guys, and welcome to your daily tarot reading for Friday the 7th of January 2022. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to use my deck of cards today, the Gregory Scott Tarot. Let's see what the cards have to say about this day and what energy you'll be working with. So let's have a little look. I'm just getting an image in my mind's eye of someone stepping out of a pool in the moonlight and getting back on the path. And there's a sense of resolution and completion, like you've dropped a huge burden and you're ready to continue in a much simpler way and in a way that feels much calmer and positive. Okay, so the first card we've got is the Two of Pentacles. Then we've got the Hermit. And finally, the Page of Cups. Okay, so we've got three young men in the spread here. Really interesting, actually. The Two of Pentacles is facing towards the Hermit. The Page of Cups is facing towards the Hermit. So just in terms of layout, I couldn't have set this up any better if I tried. These two seem younger than the Hermit. So he seems youngest. He's somewhere in the middle. And he seems like mid-20s, maybe 18, 17, and then like what, 15, 16? So different levels of experience, but all obviously very youthful. So the thing with youth is about a willingness to learn and a willingness to get things wrong for the sake of the bigger picture. So if I'm going to learn a new skill or if I'm going to have this career in 5 years, then I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm willing to go through all of that to kind of enrich my life and my experience. Of course, I'm not going to get everything right straight away. The Hermit is about looking within and understanding the self. And these two characters, I mean, the Page of Cups is a little problematic, but not really. The Two of Pentacles isn't problematic at all, but it looks like these two are looking for the Hermit, for answers. It's like, if I want to exit this stage of my development, if I want to become something more, then maybe this Hermit has a clue. And also, if I want to graduate to juggle more pentacles here, then maybe the Hermit has some answers for me. So it's interesting that there's a sense that you've now graduated or completed one stage of your life, and I feel you're ready to take on more. So it's kind of like, okay, I've proven to myself that I can have good relationships, that I am a good friend, I've got a good job. Whatever it is you feel like you've been doing for a while, not only is it a familiar thing, but you're thriving in that situation and you're ready for the next challenge. And the circumstances, so Pentacles, job, money, earth, and then Cups, which has to do with relationships and love and romance. If there's anything that feels like, okay, I'm ready to step it up a notch here, then both of those areas are going to look to you as such to say, all right, what do we do next? So I'm very comfortable in my job. I'm doing well. People seem to like me. I get on with my colleagues. What's the next step here? I feel ready for a pay rise or to take on more responsibility or to be more creative and to back that up if there is criticism. Or I've managed this relationship. It's going well. What's the next step? Are we going to move in together? Are we going to get married? Are we going to have children? Whatever comes next. So there may be a sense that, wow, something is kind of crystallizing in me. Like, you know, what's the old thing about a piece of coal? If you put enough pressure on it, it turns into a diamond. It's kind of like the outside world is looking to you to say what is coming next. So, all right, you're putting me on the spot. All right, fine, I'll come up with something. And also, things are going well relationship-wise, or what can change in relationships? What are you going to do about it? How are you going to change? So it's great. It's like the number 9 in numerology is spirituality and completion. It's the end of a cycle. And this is like a mini graduation here for you. The first one in 2022, where you feel like, wow, I've reached some sort of a plateau with my life here. Things are good, and I can now make improvements and upgrades to certain things. So the Two of Pentacles, this is someone who's doing, he's kind of on the front lines. He's doing the hard labor. So he's having to juggle these things eternally. He is good at it. He's able to maintain this momentum, and he never drops either of them. So the Two of Pentacles says you're perfectly equipped to do what you're doing, to pursue what it is you're planning. You have the practical know-how to get things sorted out and really to manage them very, very well. We've got the 2 here via the pillars and the Roman numeral 2. Also, you can look at that as Gemini almost. And that's about communication. And I think there'll be a lot of doing and juggling as such in your work, and you can adjust things so that they suit you even more. We've got the 2 pillars creating a doorway, and by doing the job that you're doing very well, by committing to it and being happy with what you're doing, it will lead to other opportunities. It will lead to greater responsibility, all of the things I mentioned just now that you could potentially want for your job. But it comes from kind of proving and demonstrating that you're good at what you're doing now, you're enjoying it, you're not grumbling and complaining all the time, but you're even coming up with ideas and showing initiative and inserting yourself into the work. That's what's going to lead to other opportunities on this day. Then we've got the Hermit. The Hermit here walking away from St. Michael's Mount. I think it's in Dorset or Devon or Cornwall. I think it's Cornwall, actually. And I like this because I went to visit this and I arrived when the tide was out and I could walk over. But I've always they've got one in France as well, and it just always seemed so romantic to me to have this castle like out in, you know, in the ocean by the sea. And it seems to me like a place of reflection where you can take a moment and say, okay, this is where I'm at. Let me just kind of traipse around in the sand. 1 second, please. Yeah, I always find that really soothing. You know, like if you're walking by the beach and the waves are just coming in kind of, and you're barefoot and you're walking in the sand, just kicking the sand around, for me, I always find very reflective, and I can just walk by the beach and think of things in a way that's completely different to when I'm at home in the office, or, you know, if I'm out and about. It just gives me a sense of openness and clarity, and that's what I like about these structures, is that they seem to have access to this clarity of vision all the time. And the Hermit is all about understanding the self, right? And I don't know about you, but in my case, I've often found it very difficult to understand myself and to understand why I do certain things or why I am the way I am. And I always want to have this ability to see things from a bigger perspective rather than to get sucked into my own issues or, you know, eccentricities or whatever. And I think the Hermit is a very good symbol of understanding the self and getting to know the self, not in some sort of a grand, you know, spiritual kind of way where it seems very abstract, but simply by spending 10 years with yourself, or 20 or 30 or 40, you get to know your own habits, you get to know the way you do things. And the more you can keep an objective view of yourself and not manage yourself as such, but accept yourself, try to improve, but work with who you are on an authentic level. Like, for instance, if you realize about yourself that you're vindictive, right? We all have qualities that are good and that are not so great, and that are somewhere in between, and it's a mix. So, you know, if when people say they love themselves truly, then I always really admire that, because I take it to mean it's like I love the whole of me, even the parts of me that are negative. I mean, I don't, like, I have negative qualities, and those are the ones I struggle with, right? So rather than getting sucked into them and then beating myself up about them, I like to, in hindsight or something, when I've done something I regret, then I try and look at that and say, how can I understand myself better so I can manage this quality and maybe turn it even into something that's good. So I guess with the example of vindictiveness, turn that around by deliberately doing something charitable and forgiving someone, you know? Because then that quality becomes something that actually adds something good to the world. And it's only through understanding those tough truths about ourselves that we can do something about it. I think it's much simpler on this day, especially when it comes to your work and your finance and what you're creating on a practical level, you simply understand now that you're good at a certain thing and that by pursuing it, you will create new opportunities for yourself. Then the Page of Cups, the most inexperienced of all the court cards, he's willing to learn when it comes to relationships. He makes a lot of mistakes. He doesn't quite know how to talk to women, if he's interested in women, or men, if that's his interest. He just gets nervous, for instance, and he doesn't know how to woo someone or to get what he wants in relationships. So sometimes he overdoes it and he comes along with roses, and other times he's completely like, he overshares, I suppose. like I can just see him, the rose petals are there, the bloom is off the rose, the date isn't going so well, he's struggling kind of desperately, and then in order to get closer to someone, he overshares horribly and he says all these things that he doesn't want to say. So it's inexperience when it comes to relationships, making mistakes. So again, understanding where you have made mistakes in the past, where you continue to make mistakes, and the ability to say, okay, I own that about myself, and I love myself despite that. Like, I blush, for instance. Like, if someone says something that really, like, embarrasses me, I go purple. I go bright red. And if someone really, like, cuts me off or dismisses me like really rudely, then I go purple. And it's really embarrassing that I don't have a better poker face, that you can just read it off me like that. So, even things like that you may not love, but once you accept them about yourself, then, when you can feel the kind of blood rushing to your head, you can say, I'm going to excuse myself for a moment and go to the bathroom. And then you can take a few breaths, calm down, and appear when you're a normal color. So it's simply about recognizing who you are, accepting it without judgment, or not even no judgment, but you celebrate your weirdnesses and your eccentricities and your flaws, and you find a way to work with them, to juggle them as such. And this is really looking to your higher self for guidance. So these two are the real world. It's you in work and relationships, and you may have some issues there, and it may feel very like, oh, I'm just so inexperienced and I made a mistake here. What does my higher self say in response? And it's probably going to say, there, it's okay. Don't, calm down. You're not the only one who screws up in these areas. So there's the great potential to learn who you are, what you're all about, to give yourself a big hug at the end of the day and say, do you know what? You did your best and I love you regardless. And really, I think that's the key. To get to a space where you can, put your head on the pillow at night and say, well done. Even if it was like kind of, a bit of a mess, but you tried your best. Okay, number-wise, we've got 9, and the court card counts as 1, so that's 10, and 2 is 12. 12, 1 and 2 is 3. 3 in numerology is communication and new beginnings, and we've had that quite a lot here. So I think it's a new and improved relationship with the self, and the optimism and the kind of light and energy that acceptance brings about, that then encourages you to try again in these areas, to adapt things in your work, to graduate to the next level, and then to graduate to the next level in your relationships. So yeah, really nice. I love this. It feels very organic. It's kind of like you're your own mentor. You're kind of guiding yourself. And the good thing about that is if you feel like you're guiding yourself, or your higher self is guiding you, then you're really going to move in a direction which is pretty much guaranteed to work out. So the garden here through the doorway, that's going to be a nice garden with all your favorite flowers in it. So I hope you have a great day. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, click on book your reading to audio reading with me. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please hit subscribe and share the video online. Have an amazing day, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.